What is up, you guys?
It's your favorite new testies back at it again. I'm Jackson.
I'm Jonathan.
And the film we chose is Jesus Christ Superstar.
1973.
It is a film adaptation of a rock opera from 1970, and it covers the ministry of Jesus.
So the first thing that we want to look at when analyzing this film is the connection to the four Gospels. And so one of the best ways to do this is by looking at the phrases that Jesus says on the cross. The first one he says is, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." This is from Luke. Then he says, my God, why have you forgotten me?" This is from Mark as well as Matthew. And he says, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." And this is once again from Luke. Now, we have phrases from various Gospels on the cross, but overall, we say this is mostly Markan, and that is largely because there is no resurrection scene. It is a very abrupt ending, and Mark has the least out of all four Gospels in terms of the resurrection narrative. And there are events that take place in the Gospels, but the overall themes do not carry over, and we'll look at that with Jackson.
So let's talk about how they portray Jesus in the movie. As you can see from these pictures, it's not exactly historically accurate, but there are a few cool features I think are different from standard Jesus stereotypes. He's a pretty short character even compared to the rest of the cast. The actor Ted Neely is only like 5'6". He's kind of scrawny. He sings in a very high-pitched voice, which is a little off-putting to me because you expect him to be, the leader, the tallest, the biggest, have this rich, deep voice, and that's not really the picture we get. As you can see, he's a white male. He does not look like the actual Jesus probably looked, but that's a common theme as the rest of the cast is pretty ethnically diverse. We'll get into that more later. He's also seen very humanized, much more human than man and God, which we see in the Gospels. This is easily seen in his Gethsemane song, where he's pleading with God, but it's more like, what's my reward? What's in it for me? Why are you making me do this? He just seems much more human and relatable in his struggles than he does in the Gospels.
So one of the most important characters in this movie is Judas. Judas is a very big character. He has almost as much screen time, if not more screen time than Jesus himself. And he has a very different portrayal. So from the beginning, he wants to save Jesus. There's nothing about any thievery or trickery that he does like there is in the Gospels. And his premise is that he thinks that the fame got to Jesus. He despised what Jesus had become, and he really, until the end, he wants to save Jesus. Whenever he's selling him out to the Sadducees, he rejects the money and says, I simply want to save him from the fame that he has been caving into. And ultimately, when he's betrayed, he's so concerned, he throws the money on the ground and he's just begging the Sadducees, please just save Jesus. Don't do this to him. Don't wrong him. I just want to save him. And that's why I'm telling you guys where he is. And so ultimately, you actually see this little role of reversal between the two characters. In this situation, Judas is really the more selfless one because all he wants to do is save Jesus, and that's his goal from start to finish. And Jesus really just wants to be remembered. You see that at the Last Supper when he says to the disciples, I must be mad thinking you'll remember me. All he's thinking about is being remembered, being rewarded, as he says in the Garden of Gethsemane. He's pleading to God that he wants to be rewarded and remembered. And ultimately, Jesus realizes when he's being crucified that he is being freed from sort of the fame that kind of ruined him, I guess, in that sense. And Judas is the only one that realizes this. And it's more about the message that he's leaving behind. And that's what the crucifixion does, which ultimately brings sort of a happy end to the movie in that regard.
So this brings us to a main theme of the movie, and that is that Jesus is not divine. He's just a man that was used by God. This is seen in a number of ways. A couple of other characters pick up on it. Mary Magdalene sings, he's just a man. Judas sings, separate the myth from the man. In this picture here, it's a scene where lepers and a bunch of other cripples are trying to be healed by Jesus, and he's singing, there's too many of you, there's not enough of me, leave me alone. So over and over, we see Jesus isn't nearly as powerful or always in control as he is in the Gospels. One of the choruses, one of the main songs, everyone is singing, do you think you're what they say you are? So over and over, we get this question of like, Jesus, are you actually divine? And he never claims explicitly that he is. And an interesting way they do this is when someone asks him like, oh, you're the Son of God, you're the Christ. In the movie, he says, those are your words. I think this is an interesting play on something he says in the Gospels, specifically in Matthew, when someone will say, you're the Christ, he'll say, you have said it, which is affirmative in the Gospels, that he's affirming their statement. He's saying, yes, I am the Christ. But when he says, those are your words, not mine, in the movie, it's a small change in what he's saying, but it brings forth a totally different message in which he's saying, you're saying I'm the Christ, everyone else is saying that about me, but I'm not actually claiming to be. Another way we can relate to this very human Jesus in the movie is through anachronisms. These are things that are temporally out of place. They're from the wrong time period. So as you can see in this picture of Judas, there's some tanks approaching. There's planes in the movie. The Roman soldiers have guns. As you can see from Judas's costume design, a lot of the characters are in very 1970s garb. So all this kind of breaks down our difficulty in relating to Jesus because we think of him in 30 AD Jerusalem, which is a very foreign concept. When in this movie, the characters are white people, black people that kind of look like people you'd see in 1970s America, and it makes it easier for us to relate to Jesus, which drives home the narrative that he's not divine. Obviously, this theme is in stark contrast to what we see in the Gospels, which is that Jesus literally is God. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below, what is your favorite heretical interpretation of Jesus? We love to hear from you. Have a good day.